Hi there, welcome back. Today I have this concern in my heart, as always, for the victims of narcissistic relationships. Here's the deal. Oftentimes those that are within the throngs of a narcissistic relationship, they don't really understand what they're dealing with. They don't, sometimes they don't even know what a narcissist is, and maybe they've never heard the term. I know in today's society they've likely heard the term, but why, when you love someone and you've seen how charming they can be and how they showed you love to begin with, which may have scooted on to, ooh, I never know when they're going to raise this ugly head and bite at me, but you know what, if I say things the right way and if I do things the right way, our relationship's going to be smooth, and the love that we have and the love that he or she has shown me at particular times, it's just going to grow and blossom, and this is going to be a good thing. They just don't know. These victims don't know. My concern is the term narcissist is tossed and labeled on so many people these days that these victims are just not even going to know that they are dealing with a narcissist. And they look at the well-known or popular people, I should say, that are labeled as narcissists, and the victims they'll say, my spouse, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, they're nothing like this person. So, boyfriend, girlfriend, they're nothing like this person. So why in the world would I even begin to think that they are a narcissist? They can't be a narcissist. I mean, they don't have any of these outright in the public symptoms of the narcissistic disorder, personality, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. And yes, it is a thing. So let's just think of the victim, and let's consider, before we throw someone out there, label them in the public. And oftentimes this happens in the comments in social media. It happens in YouTube videos. It happens, you see it on news channels where people label this person as a narcissist. And every narcissist that I have ever known, and I'm not saying that they're all this way, but in my 62 years of experience, those that are key narcissists, their behavior happens behind closed doors. It's rather secretive. They're charming in public. They don't appear as a narcissist to everyone in their walk. Now, I know this isn't the always situation, because I have understood that there are narcissistic bosses. It may come out in the workplace, but I think in today's society that could be a little more difficult, because we all, managers of people, have to be very careful with how we word things and how we treat people and how fair we are across the board, because as managers or as business owners, we could be slapped with lawsuits extremely easily, and it's not so easy to target and to pinpoint and to even identify a real narcissist. And I'm not saying these other people aren't real, but a narcissist that exists behind closed doors in a deep relationship with someone. So there are some outlying traits of narcissists, and we're going to go over a couple of them today. First is the grandiose self of importance. And, even I looked back with the narcissist that I lived with for 20 years and dealt with, and kept thinking our relationship was going to go back to that beautiful persona that I realize now he had actually created, but I fell in love with, of our love relationship. And it was just up in the clouds and glorious and all this in his eyes. But here's the thing. I looked at this grandiose self of sense of self-importance. And I thought, now wait a minute, he's not grandiose. No, he's not that way at all. And then I began to think about, well, yes, he is. And yes, he was. He did believe that he was better than anyone else. And that's what often happens. So we need to look at the terminology involving grandiose. It isn't just someone that's that appears boisterous, or someone in the public that appears boisterous or likes to talk about themselves, or they brag on themselves, or they cut you off in mid-sentence and they don't want to hear what you have to say. Yeah, that person may have a narcissistic tendency, but it doesn't mean that they are absolutely an abusive, controlling narcissist. When a narcissist talks about their work or talks about the things that they do, they oftentimes just blow it up bigger than life. And this is where the grandiose comes from. So we really have to think hard about, is this person really have they created the persona that they're a star of their world? And sometimes we have to dig deep and see the areas where, do they think that they're, if you're doing a movie at home with your children, are they mad at you when you're not creating this movie, this video as a professional? It's not professional enough. They're grandiose, thinking I'm a movie producer or a music producer, or because I can play the drums, I'm the original band, blah, 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 quote. And this is how I saw it, that it took many years for this to come out. It was something that looked cute until later I realized that this is a symptom of a grandiose sense of self-importance, that they're good, they're better than the ordinary, they're better than the average. And it's good for us to have a vision of great self-worth of ourselves, but we don't put ourselves up on the pedestal way, way, way above other people. We're just all human. These people live in a fantasy world that support the delusions of grandeur. And this is what they surround their life around. Sometimes when they have these fantasies, they forget that, and they don't realize that they're not who they think they are. And because I am this fantastic person, I don't have to live like everybody else. I don't have to follow the same rules as everybody else. And then we move on to needs constant praise and admiration. See, this looks different for everyone. And again, I originally, as a victim, looked at this and I thought, well, I don't remember him saying I need praise or I need admiration. But why would he say that? There was a need there, despite his behavior, and I've experienced this with my coaching with other people. There is a need there for the narcissist to receive praise and admiration, even in the midst of, constantly cheating on your spouse, or constantly running someone down, your loved one down, or gaslighting, telling your loved one that they're crazy so that it makes you look right and them appear wrong. And all of this is going on, yet you need this constant praise and admiration. And if you're not getting it, then you're the abused. The narcissist believes the dilemma and the fantasy that they are the abused one. And they tell other people this. She neglects me. He neglects me. I'm abused. Even though the other person is pedaling as fast as they can go to create a good relationship. And it's one-sided. There's no way that they can fix the narcissist by saying or doing the right things. Again, there's a sense of entitlement, and I did see this in my relationship. You might not see it in yours, but One of the things that happened to me, and I'm just going to give you some examples. I had a really good job in the corporate world. I made car payments. I was able to buy brand new cars. They weren't expensive cars. They were probably some of the cheapest cars on the market, but I paid for them. I'd pay them off. I was able to pay for them. And this is just an example. In 90-degree weather, the narcissist said to me, "You're not allowed to use the air conditioner. You can't turn that air conditioner on driving home on the interstate, your 35, 40-minute drive, because it uses gas money. And besides that, it's not fair to me because I have an older vehicle and my air conditioner doesn't work very well." How can you possibly tell someone that you love dearly when it's 90-something degrees outside and humid, and they're coming home from a long day at work, how they aren't supposed to use the air conditioner in the car because they're being neglected and they're not in that little car, that tiny little brand new car or fairly new car. They can't turn the air conditioner on and get the heat out of the car and drive home and relax by the time they're home. No way. That is just an example of sense of entitlement. I made all of the house payments. And when it came time when I finally created this divorce decree and I found a lawyer that gave me the rights to write it and for him to oversee it and present it to the courts that way, I gave up $10,000 because my thought was, I made all of the house payments. Why in the world can't I just refinance this house myself and just stay here? I gave him every stick of furniture. I gave him all the dishes. I gave him everything. Why did I do that? I wanted him out. I wanted him to survive because I still cared about him, but I wanted him out of my life. He was abusive. At this time, he was stalking me, and at this time, I was still being threatened with losing the child I still had at home. And even though I walked the tightrope, I mean, I held a job down, and I cared for my children, and I was very loving and very caring and very dedicated to everything. But this sense of entitlement was, I helped you paint this house when we bought it 10 years ago, so you shouldn't be able to get the house because I helped you paint it back then, despite the fact that he never helped around the house for those 10 years. He never cleaned the house. He cheated. He sat in his chair and in his chair recliner, and everything was about him. So this is where the sense of entitlement comes in. It's like, I don't care what you do in life. I am entitled to sit on my throne. That one's a very, very strong symptom of the narcissistic personality disorder. Another one is exploits others without guilt or shame. There is a total lack of empathy with a true narcissist. They can't associate it with the feelings of others. They can talk about, this is my love life, and I can love so well, and I'm the best lover that ever was, and can even say, because she doesn't love me the way that I deserve to be loved, I'm going to go out and look for love relationships, but you have to stay right here at home while I'm doing so in case I fall flat on my face. You're still my love relationship. They don't believe that what they do affects others. They just believe they're in their rights and that this is their perfect right in life because they deserve to be respected and be on this throne. Where that comes from, I still to this day have no idea, but it's what happens. Okay? So last but not least, the narcissist has they demean, they intimidate, they bully, and they belittle others. And I would say that the majority of us see this within our narcissistic relationships. We experience this when we're behind closed doors with the narcissist. The narcissist will appear to be kind to others. For example, kind to his mother or kind to your sister. But then behind closed doors, he talks about hating he or she, and I'm sorry if I've said he too often, he or she will claim that they hate this person, and this person thinks that their beep doesn't stink because they live in this great house with these wonderful children, and they appear to have this great marriage, and they think that they're better than he is and or she is, and they're constantly putting other people down, such as, well, I don't care if my mother dies. I don't care if she dies right now on the spot. She's nothing but a piece of beef. And they're hateful. They're just horribly hateful about other people behind closed doors. But then when they're around these other people, they appear to be extremely charming. Sometimes, they come across as just a little bit lukewarm. But oftentimes they're charming, so that in my particular example, when I realized that my now deceased ex-husband was a narcissist, and I actually told my parents that I felt like the baby was being abused, brand new newborn baby. I went into things really too fast. That's a whole nother story. And my parents said, oh no, this is a good man. You've got to stick with this. There's no way you can stop this early on like this. You have to stick with this. This is your choice, and you have to stick with the relationship. And I thought, wow, maybe this really is me. And so, I didn't have that support. So again, today, there's a couple things I urge you. First of all, is when someone tells you that they believe they're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's your decision to think that this person is either making this up, or it's their imagination or whatever. But you could possibly be adding to the pain that this person is going through with the narcissist. And oftentimes it's really hard for the person that's the victim to even retain friends, because friends believe this charming narcissist is who they are, and that you, the victim, are just making all of this up, especially if the narcissist has went out and created flying monkeys, which means that they have these friends and they have this tribe of people that they have smooth talked into believing that they are poor little child, poor little victim. And by a child, they're an adult, but basically they're a child in their mind, in my opinion. Poor me, I'm abused, I'm neglected. And this is why, I've cheated a few times, because man, I deserve this love relationship in my life, and I deserve it. I've done bang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consistently in my life, and there's no reason for her to treat me this way, or for her to not put me on a pedestal and give me everything that I'm asking. And what they're asking for, they could just have if they didn't have these narcissistic qualities. But after so many years, I think I think the victims, it takes a long time sometimes, unfortunately, but the victims get to the point where they're almost sickened to give the narcissist what it is they feel that that they deserve. Long story short. So, try to believe this person. And if you don't, let them form relationships with other people, so that this person isn't always stuck in the midst of living with the narcissist, or being in the relationship with the narcissist. The other thing is, be very, very careful who you label with the term narcissist, because, as I said before, these victims, sometimes they often don't even understand what they're dealing with. And they're just spinning their wheels, trying harder and harder and harder, and thinking that they can get this relationship back on track if they just say the right thing or do the right thing. And a lot of this narcissist, these things are just going on behind closed doors. These things that they're saying and they're doing, and the abuse, it's going on behind closed doors. It's secret. And it's not so much that the narcissist thinks that they're such a fine, great person. Oftentimes they're actually dealing with their own sense of self-worth. They they don't believe, they have no confidence. And it's unbeknownst to them, they lack in all of this. And where it comes out as, well, if she was better or if he was better, I wouldn't be the way I am. So then they blame the victim. Even in their own secret world, they blame the victim. But a lot of this goes on behind closed doors, and I just urge you to not add to the confusion. Be very careful with who you label as a narcissist in the public eye. Yes, we all have from time to time, we have a small little increment of narcissistic tendencies or symptoms, but they're extremely small fractions. I am so sorry. I've got a neighbor that's working on a four-wheeler if you keep hearing this noise. So just be very careful about trusting and believing the person that claims and maybe comes to you for help. Personally, I never went to anyone. I was ashamed. I was ashamed that my relationship wasn't what it should be. Be gentle with the victim and watch who you label as a narcissist. It's okay to say, well, they act like a narcissist, but it's not okay to say, oh, they are a narcissist just because they're proud of themselves, or just because they don't let someone else speak, or just because they're boisterous. That does not mean they're a true narcissist with a narcissistic personality disorder. It's much more complicated than that. So let's give the victim some credit and some ease. Take care, you guys. Love you. You have a wonderful day.